Well, hi, Beth.
Hi, Jody.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Oh, well, it's such an honor that you're able to see the show and have some conversation with me. You know, during this pandemic, one of the things I've felt the most is the lack of conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I appreciate us just having a little chat.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. Congratulations. It's a gorgeous show. It looks so beautiful in the space.
Oh, thanks.
And I know we were talking even earlier in the year about the work that was going to be in the show, and I was able to see some images, but truly it's so many incredible works here and such a tour de force. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It's very exciting.
It really does mean a lot coming. We were thinking about talking about, just briefly, the efficacy of art in terms of spreading message and affecting societal change and things like that. You say it so much better than I do.
You know, that's definitely something that I've always held very near and dear to my own curatorial practice, is this power of art to really reflect what's happening in society and, you know, the joys, the sorrows, the challenges, the past, the future, really all of it. And it's always been kind of surprising to me when people talk to me about the shows that I've done at Fuller Craft and that the museum has done as if they're this anomaly. Because to me, it's just always seemed like, well, duh, like, isn't that what art is? Isn't that what museums are supposed to be doing, is to be holding a mirror up to society? So it's so interesting. And I was thinking about your Mary Jane sculptures on the way into Boston this morning and thinking how interesting it was that those objects were created specifically to speak to women being silenced in the home, and how since the pandemic has happened, after these works were created, that can extend to everyone. How you made these works to really talk about this sense of stifling and being voiceless and being suffocated and being trapped in a domestic environment, obviously specifically to women when you're creating them, but now it's really become this ungendered experience that we're all having.
I know.
It's really fascinating to me.
It's interesting because you create from a very personal place. So, you know, my identity came into play. You know, the Mary Janes is very much part of my childhood and has this iconic value, and so I identified with all that. But then I have a colleague here who's an older gentleman, and came to see the show, and he said to me, "I know this is about being a woman, but I feel so muffled."
Right, exactly.
And I just loved that.
Absolutely.
It was able to.
Yeah, and I think what's so really fascinating about that point is that, that all these issues that we're dealing with in society are not just female issues. I mean, everybody's impacted by them. So it's not just, you know, this show isn't something that only women can appreciate.
No.
You know, even before the pandemic, I don't think that was the case. I mean, these are issues that affect everybody. Give voice to the voiceless, to, you know, inspire, to chart new paths. And I think for these times, for a lot of artists, and we've talked a little bit about how, you know, some artists feel so compelled to create during this time and to use their practice to kind of make sense of the world around them. And then other artists are feeling like they just can't, they're not ready to really start making again. And, you know, I think if I were a maker, I was probably in the latter category. I think I'm feeling so just kind of paralyzed right now. At least right now. Tomorrow might be different.
Yeah.
Yesterday probably was different, but I think, it's really...
It feels pretty hopeless. Yeah. So I think that's why it's so important for us to get to the museums, get to the galleries.
Yeah. Come here. Yeah, and I think, you know, part of the power of art and of craft objects is seeing these artifacts that were made decades ago, centuries ago, and they've endured. So I think that there's a lot of hope that can be found in engaging with art objects. I mean, we have a show now at the museum, if you would allow me a shameless plug, called Shelter, Play, Social Distance. And we're essentially took objects from our own collection that were created over the last few decades that were not created in this time of pandemic, but that we're addressing issues that resonate today. So I think that there's a lot of solace to be found in going to museums and looking at these objects that were created in a different time that continue to endure. And
Which brings me, like you were asking me in an email,
yeah,
to maybe discuss what my struggles are in the studio. And oh my goodness, did that send me into a tailspin. But one of the biggest ones that comes to mind, and it made me think of it within the context of what we're talking about, is acknowledging and remembering that what I do matters. And it does matter. It does,
for sure.
For all the reasons we were just talking about.
Yeah, and I think your work in particular really speaks to this resiliency of the human spirit. And if you look back over the last 4 months, whether it's civil unrest or the pandemic or feelings of isolation or feeling hopeless about the future, I mean, that's really what I think art can deliver now, and your art in particular, is this resiliency of the human spirit. You know,
Oh,
that it
that's a
will
great way.
endure.
Thanks for saying
Yeah,
that.
so I think it really, you know, artists may feel like they're kind of creating in a vacuum, right? What does it matter? But I think it all really does matter, and that artists are so uniquely positioned to move people right now and to inspire them and to envision a future for us. I mean, if we're all feeling so hopeless, you know, that's, I think, an important role of the artist today, is to really kind of give us that imagining and give us that hope. So, no pressure. You know, and the museums too are here to, you know, we have a responsibility also to support artists in that endeavor and to give them the space and the resources to create that work. I mean, I think museums and artists are partners. I've always felt that way, and I think, you know, it's really our responsibility to give artists that space to show the work, to discuss it, you know, even though it might be on Zoom these days, but I think it's, you know, it's
Well, this has been great.
yeah.
I really appreciate it. I don't know how I could ever pay you back, because this is
It's
such
my
a gift.
pleasure. It's my pleasure, and I'm thrilled that I can be here in person to see this glorious exhibition.
Because we are very safe here.
Yes,
We have
are.
social distancing, you can see,
Yep.
and all of
Wear our
those things.
masks
So
when we get up.
we'll put our masks on.
Yeah. Come see it.
Thanks.
It's
Yep.
fabulous. Bye.